If the radiator cooling fan isn't working in your Kia Sportage, you might notice a few warning signs. The engine temperature may climb rapidly, especially in traffic or when idling. You might also notice there's no fan noise coming from the engine bay, even when the AC is turned on or the engine is running hot. Before checking the fuse and the relay, it's a good idea to visually inspect the cooling fan first. Turn off the engine and open the hood to take a close look at the radiator cooling fan, which is mounted just behind the radiator at the front of the engine bay. Start by inspecting the fan blades. Make sure there are no broken parts that might jam the fan. Any obstruction could prevent it from turning on properly. Next, try rotating the fan blades gently by hand. It should spin freely with minimal resistance. If the fan feels stuck, rough, or does not move at all, the motor might be seized or the fan housing may be damaged. If it spins freely, that's a good sign. It means the motor isn't physically damaged and that the issue may be electrical. Now let's move on to the fuse and relay. Locate the fuse box in the engine compartment. You will find it near the main battery right here. Open the cover by pressing the tabs on the sides and lifting it up. Flip the cover and you will find a diagram of all the fuses and relays in the fuse box. There are actually two relays that control the radiator cooling fan. Both relays work with the same fan, but each one is responsible for a different speed setting. The larger relay in the top right corner of the fuse box is the high-speed fan relay. When the engine gets very hot or when extra cooling is required, the ECM activates this relay to run the fan at full power. The second relay located just beside it in the fuse box is the low-speed fan relay. Under normal conditions, such as when the AC is turned on or the engine needs light cooling, this relay is triggered to run the same fan at a lower speed. By having both a high-speed and a low-speed relay, the system can adjust the fan operation depending on cooling demand, instead of running at full power at all the time. It is very rare for both the high-speed and low-speed relays to fail at the same time. If one relay goes bad, the system will still activate the fan through the other relay, just at a different speed. That means if the cooling fan isn't turning on at all, the problem may not be the relays. Instead, it could point to something else which I will discuss later in this video. I will also show you how we can test the cooling fan by directly bypassing the relay. Now let's take a look at the fuses. If we look at the fuse diagram, we see two fuses for the radiator fan, a 40mm fuse and a 50mm fuse. However, if we look inside the fuse box, there is only one 40mm fuse. The 50mm fuse is missing. I did not remove this fuse and I bought this vehicle brand new. So this is how it came from the factory. The radiator fan has been working fine with only one fuse. So I think only 40mm fuse is functional in this 2-liter 4th generation Sportage. Maybe the 2.4-liter engine uses two fuses, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, it's a 40mm JCASE fuse, which is larger than standard fuses and has a transparent top window. You do not have to pull it out. Just look directly through the clear window on top. You will see a solid metal strip inside. If the strip is broken or appears burnt, the fuse is blown and needs to be replaced. Unlike blade fuses, the JCASE fuse does not have exposed metal terminals on top for easy testing with a test light. So if the fuse looks okay but you're still unsure, you'll have to pull it out to test it properly. Use a pair of needle nose pliers to carefully remove the fuse from the socket. Then set your multimeter to continuity or resistance mode and place the probes on each metal contacts at the bottom of the fuse. If the multimeter shows continuity or zero resistance, the fuse is good. If it shows OL or high resistance, the fuse is blown and must be replaced. With that out of the way, it's time to check the relays. We will begin with the low speed relay, which is the smaller standard relay in the fuse box. Since it is interchangeable with other relays of the same type, the easiest way to test it is by swapping it with another identical relay you know is working, such as the rear defroster relay. Using adjustable pliers, gently pull out the low speed fan relay. Then pull out the rear defroster relay. As you can see, both of the relays are identical, so you can easily swap them. After swapping, start the engine and turn on the AC to see if the cooling fan starts running. If not, move on to testing the larger relay. The larger relay in the corner cannot be swapped because there is no other relay of the same type in the fuse box. But you can test the circuit by bypassing the relay. Carefully pull out the larger relay out of its socket. First, take a close look at the relay itself. On the bottom, you will notice 4 metal terminals. 2 are smaller control terminals, and 2 are noticeably larger. The larger ones are the power output terminals that send current directly to the cooling fan when the relay is activated. Now look inside the empty socket in the fuse box, where the relay was plugged in. You will see 4 matching slots. Just like on the relay, 2 of them are small and 2 are large. The larger slots correspond to the high current power circuit that feeds the cooling fan. To bypass the relay and directly power the fan, take a pair of needle nose pliers and carefully insert the tips into the 2 larger terminals in the socket. Bridging these terminals completes the circuit and sends power straight to the fan motor. A word of warning: be careful not to short the wrong terminals. Only bridge the power output terminals with larger gaps. Do not jump the smaller control terminals. It can damage the vehicle's electronic control module or blow a fuse. If the cooling fan turns on immediately, then the fan motor and wiring are good, and the relay may be faulty. However, it is possible the relay is actually fine, but the engine control module is not activating the cooling fan. This can happen due to a faulty engine coolant temperature sensor or ECT sensor mounted near the engine. The best way to know for sure is by using a compatible OBD scanner that can monitor if the ECM is actually sending the signal to turn on the cooling fan or not. On the other hand, if the fan does not activate even when bypassing the relay, then the issue may be with the fan motor itself, or a damaged wire or connector, or a problem with the resistor mounted on the fan assembly. Another reason for the radiator cooling fan not turning on is low coolant level or a coolant leak. If the coolant in the reservoir is too low, the ECT sensor may not read the actual engine temperature correctly. Because of that, the fan might not activate even when the engine is getting hot. Make sure the coolant level is between the minimum and maximum marks and check all the hoses for any leaks. And that's how you check the radiator cooling fan fuse and relays in a 4th generation Kia Sportage. If this video helped you fix your fan issue, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to WeGen for more DIY automotive troubleshooting videos. Thanks for watching.